Hey everyone, Meteorologist Tuttle here with you. We do have some more of those storms that have gotten out of control here in the south end of Oklahoma City. So we're going to take a look at that as a tornado warning has been issued just moments ago from the National Weather Service. So we're going to have at least a little bit of trouble that we're going to have to contend with over the next few minutes as that storm continues to make its way kind of in the northern end of central or the southern part of southern Oklahoma into central Oklahoma. So that won't affect the Oklahoma City metro area, but it will stay just south of us and then affect those folks that are going to be on that immediate path. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So thanks for joining me, by the way. I was about ready to go to bed. You can see how that worked out for me. All right, that's okay. All right, so let me see. I got to get some maps and stuff loaded. Like I said, we've got some changes here on the radar screen in Pauls Valley. So this is a tornado warning that was issued about, I think it's 5 minutes ago. Let's take a look at where the exact track is. Very strong tornado circulation centered here over, looks like Farm Market Road. Actually, this is just going to be east of Pauls Valley by about 1, 2, 3, 4 miles, it looks like, is where the center of the circulation is going to be. So if you live in Pauls Valley itself, your concern isn't over the city itself, it's on the eastern side. So that's where the trouble is going to be. If I look back into motion, the circulation actually started on the south side of town, so on the south end of Pauls Valley. Then you can see with time it's moved on the east side. It was strongest, let's see, at exactly midnight is when it really kicked in. The last scans actually weakened a bit, which is good, so let's hope this trend continues. So this is the area of interest is right here. So this is where the colors overlap from red and green. Now when the wind speed gets stronger, it'll change back into kind of a blue color shading. What we're going to do here, get the storm motion. So this will flip over to a storm relative velocity pattern, which is more of your typical red and green. A little more de-aliasing going on, just kind of show you the area of interest of where this particular tornado is located. All right, so it's just new scan has just come in, so it's now moved up here, north where that triangle is. So it's east of Pauls Valley on the east side of town. This is going to be east of Highway 19. Let's see here. Let's see, that's Farm Road 3300. There's 3290. So it looks like it's right along 3290 between there and 3287. North of East Road 1570, and let's see, that road's not showing up there, but that's where that location of that tornado is located. Now, it does have a polygon on it drawn to the northeast, so that the track is going to be a little bit different than what we normally see a track for, which would be more kind of an east-northeasterly fashion. This is more of a northeast fashion. All right, so the tornado warning continues in effect here for a few minutes for northeastern Garver and southeastern McLean counties. Confirmed tornado located near Pauls Valley, moving north at 40. Radar confirmed tornado. We're talking about Pauls Valley, Paoli, Byers, and Rosedale as far as the communities involved, and this includes Interstate 35 between mile markers 71 and 73. So that's kind of where this particular storm, the influence of it overall. Remember, the actual tornado is a very small point, very tiny, and that's east of town. So in this bright couplet area you see here to the right, it's actually the best couplet we've seen here in Oklahoma probably this spring, just briefly. So let me see if there's any. Yeah, there is. There has been some debris located from this. Okay, this is what we call the debris tracker. It's a cross correlation coefficient of the dual pole of the radar. So as it's moved on the east side of Pauls Valley, you see this little blue spot, little blue circle. That is what we call debris. Debris is anything that's not a hydrometeor. In other words, it's not hail or raindrops or anything like that. So it picks up whatever is not that, which can be rocks, sticks, trees, you name it. That's the debris. So that means the tornado is substantial enough to pick up that aloft and loft it up into the air. Doesn't seem to go very high, so that's good. Could be an indication it's on a weaker end of the tornado. The velocities kind of go with that. They haven't been overly ridiculous, but definitely enough to go ahead and pull the trigger on that. And that's why the Weather Service not only issued the tornado warning, but also listed it as a confirmed, even though it was radar indicated, radar reported. Let's see, anything else? All right, so let's take a look at, let's see, we're going to do Oklahoma City here. We're going to take a look at both radars for the wind shear. So the wind shear in the atmosphere, as far as being conducive for tornadoes, still continues. It'll be this way all day tomorrow as well. So the wind shear is not changing. It just looks to be pretty stout here with the low-level jet coming in. So in this particular case, it looks like we got a storm that just got rooted before it really got into that strong capping area here south of Oklahoma City. And so they just kind of picked a sweet spot to do it. All right, so let's see. Let's go back to this guy here. So Rosedale is about 1227 and Etowah is about 1250. Now you can see it's a really big polygon, but the tornado part of the storm is on the far eastern fringe of it. So even though it's a polygon warning in this entire red area, the actual people involved that are concerned with the actual tornado part of it are going to be on the eastern sides of this polygon, not the western side. So if you live up toward Wayne, and in Pauls Valley itself to the west, you're not of any danger. So the storm is moving northeast at 38 miles per hour. Inch also size hail also reported within this. So let's see, let's do this too. Do a couple things. So you can see the town of Rosedale to the north and Byers east of there. So obviously has a lot of lightning strikes associated with that. It's right along East Road 1510 and Hines Lane between there and State Highway 133. So it's about a mile west of 133 and it's running on tornado observed. Let's see, I think that's from the warning criteria by Doppler radar. So with this path is still going to work its way to the north-northeast, so it should pass between Rosedale and Byers. All right. If I were to, let's do this. I'm going to go back here in time. The movement on this starting was right here, and then we're going to move it up to the north. Okay, you see what it did there? It went over here, and then it went over here. So it's not even going to do north or northeast pattern. It's just doing this little curve, and it is weakening on that last frame. That's some good news. Let's see if that continues. Yeah, velocity couplet's still there, but it's not gate to gate closed like it was off and on those last few frames. Let's see. The debris signature is still there, though. Let's take a look at that upstairs. We'll do it horizontal this direction. I'm pretty sure I got that. I'll try it again. We'll do it this way. Alright, so the debris signature is literally on the ground only. It's once I get to, how many feet is this? 6,500 feet? Yeah, lose it. So about 5,000 feet. So ironically, it's about the depth of a tornado is about 5,000 feet overall in the atmosphere. So it's carrying the debris up to about that level. Then it kind of disappears in the radar data. All right, so I'm just checking a bunch of little different things here. So let's see. Let's go back to an update on the actual position again. And then we'll do a track here for you. So eventually the storm will work its way up toward Tribby. That's about an hour from now, though. So right now it's going to be between Rosedale and Byers. And let's also look at the area that it's over. Luckily, again, just like some of these other ones, is a lot of open farmland. Now there are a few, looks like a few home, or at least some pads, farmhouses or pads, in the way. So that's for the farmhouses. There's just a handful, it looks like at most, so that's not good. But it did not go over a densely populated area looking back here in time. It was all over the open farmland. So that's some good stuff. And if you're going to get a tornado, definitely best to do it in that region of the state. All right, so that's the latest look right now. This is the big picture across Oklahoma. There are some thunderstorms around Muskogee and around Okemah, Buckfuski County, Holdenville, Prague, and those are just lightning. Might get some small hail out of that. And then you have just some heavier rain back down south. But that's the only storm of any consequence. And it just, like I said, right before midnight, it decided to ramp up and produce a tornado. So what we're going to do is keep checking in some of these indices. Yeah, the reflectivity on this, or excuse me, the velocity continues to weaken quite a bit. That's good. Yeah, even the CC's gone. So that, in other words, the correlation coefficient, the tornado debris signature, looks like has gone on that radar view, and same thing with this one. So that's good. So by all intents and purposes, then, that typically means the tornado is over. And what you have is just a little lingering broad circulation, just a generic winds. It's no longer a tornado. And that's what we have. That's now expanded outward. Looks like over about a 1.5 mile period. So that's good. It means it's done. It's over. So the tornado threat is over for now, and it may not come back again, or we might get another area. Sometimes you have to watch the eastern side. So this is the old circulation. We might get a new one that forms here, then rotates inward, then takes over. But that we'll have to wait a few minutes to watch and see if that occurs. But the rotation signature is all gone. The velocity data is all better. Now it's just some heavy rain. The tornado debris signature's over as well. Over with, I should say. Okay, the probability of a tornado is still about 53% currently in the algorithms. I did not get a chance to see what the algorithms said it was percentage-wise when it was actually occurring. So I like to do that just for quality control and just kind of see how the algorithm is performing. So Rosedale, Tribby, and Etowah over the next 30 minutes for this particular was tornadic storm, now just a severe thunderstorm. Now keep in mind it can produce another tornado at some point. For at least for a little while we'll watch it, but right now it's not. But it's always good to stay in your shelters until this particular storm moves past you. So if you live in Norman, this is well south and east of you, not going to bother you. Same thing for Shawnee, it's well south of you. It'll be gone by the time it gets anywhere close to you as far as its current situation goes. Let's see. What's going on there? Anything? No. Yeah, we got to watch this eastern side here. It's broad and weak, but I'll keep an eye on it here for a few minutes. But going backwards in time, let's see. So, let's see, that was differential vortex speed of 95 knots, azimuth shear of 118 knots, v rotation 47, had a conditional EF probability percentage of an EF1 at 63% and an EF2 of 24% given that. So in other words, it's probably an EF1 tornado. It looks like that had been maybe its max strength on radar. This is also estimated around 2,700 feet, so it should have sampled the tornado fairly well. Let's see here. Yeah, and it's weaker. So that was it. So at its most, it was a 63% probability of a EF1 tornado. So we're talking wind speeds up close to around 110 miles per hour, maybe something like that. But there'll have to be official damage survey conducted to find out what the exact rating was. We do know at least it hit something, so some trees more than likely, based off of what the pattern looked like underneath the radar as far as ground level conditions are concerned. So it looks like that may have been what was hit and carried around a little bit. Okay, so still watching the same storm. We're going to wait, see if anything happens with this before I let it go. Some of us like to go to bed here, Mother Nature. I'm going to go to another radar view, look at the bad wind profile there. And then I know what I wanted to show. Let's do this. Let's turn that off. Let's do this. See if this shows. While that's loading, if you can see the rest of the state, there's some clusters of lightning and some of these other storms. Otherwise, just some light to moderate rainfall. The heavy stuff has been into Texas all evening, and even a lot of that's diminished. And then what's left of it has moved in Oklahoma on the southern side. Still some going on way out there in western Texas. But for now, the only storm really of consequence is this one here. That's moved out of the Pauls Valley region. We're watching for development of a potential secondary tornado. The first one's long gone. It lasted for at least probably about 10 minutes off and on over the path that it took. Let's see. Are you not going to be playing nice? Why are you not going to play nice? Sometimes data plays nice and sometimes it doesn't. What about that one? You can do that one for me? No, of course not. Ugh. All right. There it is. I don't know what it was doing. Finally plotted. Okay, so what I want to plot was the low-level rotation track is what I was trying to find and go for. So in other words, the path of this particular storm had ramped up. So in Elmore City, it had a really decent mesocyclone rotation center down here just south of town by about 1.5 miles. All right, doesn't mean it produced a tornado. Just means that's where it first started to get really good looking on radar. Then it kind of weakened again, then it recycled, and then it really picked up south of Pauls Valley by about 1, 2, 3, 4 miles. So it looks like this would have been over. Let's see here, East Road 1610 and 77. That probably been where the tornado began to develop, and then that moved north and east in this little spot here, and we tracked it, kind of doing that whole around town business, and then curling back up to the northwest of it before dissipating. All right, so okay, so we'll do that. Put this back on. All right. Yeah, the storm's just a mess now, so it's lost a lot of its characteristics that made it what it was. Let me take a look upstairs. Yeah, it's a junk structure now. I can't believe that thing produced a tornado. That was a very low intensity storm. That's amazing. Sometimes it's just a good testament of wind shear, because of all the other stuff out there, this is the one storm that decided to do it. It got an updraft at the right place, the right time, and was able to spin it up. So, all right, that's into that. Still waiting to see if there was going to be any development on that eastern side over here around Byers, and so far, no, it's just broad, generic. Let's see here. So just check the weather services, same thing. They were talking about this little new development near Byers as the potential region to look for. So they're kind of just sitting here doing what I'm doing, just waiting here and watching it, see if it ramps back up. But that's the spot to be watching. Okay, I reloaded a lot of this stuff, and then we were at the VMAX rotation. I think we're at 50 knots, weren't we? And the TDS high was like 5,000. So overlaid, it's going to be at least an EF1 tornado. So based off of research scales, let me go back to that. I'm going to do a little measurement. Oops. Close that. It's getting a little stronger in the wind speeds, but the couplet is still broad. In other words, we want this red and green to get much closer together. They're still a little too far apart. They're about a mile overall apart. They need to get within about a half to quarter mile, and that's when the tornado threat quickly materializes. All right, so let's see. Let's go back to this spot here. I think this is when it was the best. So the V rotation was, it was just about 50 knots. And I was at 2,000 elevation. So if we go to our little chart here, 50 knots and 2,000 elevation. Boy, the overlay can be anything from a EF0 to an EF1 to an EF2. Technically on the bottom end of an EF3, but I don't think it wasn't that based off of what I saw. But at most, it could have been an EF2 based off research and correlation. But again, there'll have to be a official survey tomorrow just to kind of see how that works. But we can now, with modern research and good Doppler data analysis, we can do some guesstimates on the fly as to how strong a particular tornado may be, as long as it's sampled well. All right, what was I going to do? I was going to load up rotation. Yeah, this is another way of looking at it. Of course, okay. So I wanted to see where that rotation was the strongest on the track of the low-level mesocyclone. So it was strongest right as it crossed over 35. That's when it was ramping up. So it was the strongest there, and then about that other spot that I sampled a few minutes after that. So it's just south in Paul's Valley on I-35, between there and 77 is when it was its greatest strength. That's pretty much ran right along the river down here. So this was northwest of Wynnewood and southeast of Paul's Valley, kind of splitting each town down the middle. So that's a great spot for it to go. If it had to go somewhere, at least it went on between two towns and not in either one of them. So that's some good news there. Let's see. this will be interesting. All right, that is not what I wanted. Trying to get this to go large size, and then it gave me an old image of something else. Let's try velocity. I'll just look at the small picture. All right. So that's just another radar down south of Norman. It's one of those little test bed radars that they have at the university, and so it sits down here permanently and just monitors weather, but the velocity is not unfolded, so it folds over. It's got a very short Nyclos velocity threshold, and so to do this on the fly, of having to unfold the colors is gruesome. But I was hoping to get a bigger version of this, but it takes me to a different image. It takes me to this old static image from some other place at some other time. So that's not going to do me any good. Alright, so let's get off of that. Let's go back to current situation, see if anything's changed. Alright, that little circulation part near buyers, let's see. There for a second, it looks, the wind speed's increased, then it's sheared out, and now it's gone. So that's done. So okay, so that storm's done. So it's whatever form it had to be able to get to where it did, it's all over with. So that's toast. So the technically a tornado warning is still in effect until, I think it's another few minutes. What time? They canceled it for Garvin County, but they're keeping it going till 12:45 for southwestern Potawatomi and southeastern McLean counties. Now, I always say go ahead and stay in your shelters until officially a tornado warning has expired. But I can tell you the storm has weakened to a point to where there's not even any more low-level circulation. But never disregard a tornado warning. So if you live in Tribby, Waynette, Byers, Etowah, Rosedale, and Trousdale, you can still be in your shelters for another few more minutes until this thing passes. Obviously, Tribby, it's still within your line of sight for a while, so it's gonna be at least another 20 minutes before it even affects you. And things might change between now and then, but I don't see why they would, because they're actually going downward. The intensity is dropping. Probability of a tornado now is only 20%, and the complete convergence and shear zones for this area, what it used to have, is long gone. So there's absolutely no way it's going to do anything anytime soon. But we'll see. Weather Service may just cancel it. But anyway, that's the only warning that's active across the state. Otherwise, the rest of it's just good old-fashioned springtime showers and storms here for Oklahoma. All right, and with that, I think I am going to shut this down again. So tomorrow, keep in mind, I do expect a couple of tornadoes across the state, and it does look like they may be here in central Oklahoma. Depends on where the front lines up, and then as long as the cap stays gone for tomorrow, because it was huge today, but the models eroded and erased it overnight tonight into tomorrow, so it should not be a factor, which means you get warm sector, just pop-up supercells that can develop in a sheared environment. So I do expect to see at least a couple of tornadoes tomorrow here in parts of central Oklahoma, and maybe in eastern Oklahoma and southeast Oklahoma. Otherwise, there'll be some hail mixed in and some flash flooding, some flooding rain. So that's kind of what we got on our ticket for tomorrow. So sleep well. We'll do this again tomorrow. See you guys.